may get an abortion without telling BF. MF19, and found out I was pregnant a few days ago. I was worried I was pregnant for a few weeks before actually taking a test, but got convinced by my BFM 23 kinda X to not take a test since I'm on birth control and he's on condoms. I have extremely strict and controlling religious parents who don't even like me dating. They'd most likely kick me out while pregnant and let the baby come back once I gave birth, but not me. They absolutely hate me for getting pregnant out of wedlock and see me as a murderer for an abortion. So I have no support from them, even though I love some advice from my parents. I never wanted kids. Ever since I was young, I hated the thought of being a mother, and I grew up having to take care of my siblings. So, in a way, I feel already sick of parenting. I'm also not mentally stable at all. I can be really self-destructive and explosive. I have an ED and wouldn't eat enough for pregnancy. And I don't think I'm mature enough to fix all those issues before I give birth. Me and the person who got me pregnant aren't on current speaking terms. I don't think he's the safest person right now, and I have a lot of trust issues and anxiety towards him. I wouldn't want to send my child away to a man I don't trust for years and years and be stuck connected to him. I haven't told him yet, and I am not sure if I should. We've been together for a year and few months, but he's been my close friend since I was a teen, and I don't want to full lose him. But we got into a rocky spot, and I halfway broke up with him. He's still trying to make it work over text, and I don't have the guts to block him. I feel guilty having an abortion without telling him, but I know he would want me to keep it. I don't know what to do if he tries to convince me, or worse, goes to my parents to stop me. But I also think he has a right to know. 2 words do it. Simple. You don't want the child. That's all the reason you need. You don't owe anyone else in your life reason or notice. I am sorry this happened to you. This is a horrible position to be in, but you sound like you already know what is best and have made up your mind. Go book in an abortion immediately, because it gets enormously more difficult the longer you leave it. I will caveat I am not talking from experience, as I very luckily have never needed one, but I do know there's a pill and so much less trauma if you get it done before a certain time, maybe 12 weeks. I have, however, had a baby. I almost died having my baby, and it left me with a damaged heart. Nobody seems to ever talk about the extreme changes to your body after having a baby. Your parents are the least of your worries. Having a baby is mega tough on the body. People talk about it as if it's natural, etc., but evolution doesn't require mothers to be in optimal health. I also think you seem to know your parents are extreme. You need to save your own life here. Sounds like you rely on living at home for the moment. Tell nobody except perhaps your most trusted friend. The story you retelling is how people become homeless and have their lives ruined. I get the abortion because you have no way to support a child or yourself. And being pregnant isn't just a big belly, it's a whole thing, and you cannot be homeless for it. Get into the best job or university education you can. Work your butt off for a decade, and then have a baby with a man you love. Manage your parents as you need to during. You get the abortion, don't tell anyone, and get some therapy too. Do you have someone in your life you trust enough to talk to about this? That was a lot. What's your take? And hey, if you're enjoying this, hit subscribe. We post stories like this every week. I finally felt safe enough to give him my quote first. He responded by critiquing my quote stamina/quote and breathing. I'm F28, finally processing a betrayal that has haunted me for 2 years. For the first time in my life, after years of dating and never feeling quite quote right/quote with anyone, I met a guy who made me feel completely like myself. I felt a sense of release and safety I had never known. I trusted him with everything. Because of that trust, I decided to make him my first. At the time, I was managing PCOS, hormonal variations, and severe vitamin deficiencies. I wasn't quote medically sick/quote, but my body was healing and I didn't have peak energy. During the act, I was in physical pain. My breathing was fast, not because I was quote out of shape/quote, but because I was nervous, in pain, and it was my first few times. He never once asked if I was okay or comfortable. He just watched me. Later, he told me he quote lost his attraction slash quote because of my fast breathing. He claimed it showed I had quote no stamina slash quote, and that I quote seemed overweight and like I didn't work. I am not overweight, and he isn't an athlete. He is just a lean guy. When I was devastated, he backtracked quote I know you aren't actually overweight. I just felt like you were because of your breathing slash the most haunting part. While we were dating, he told me a story about a hookup he had where the girl ended up crying in his bed because he wasn't attracted to her. He told it with zero empathy. At the time, I took it lightly because I felt so safe with him, but now I realize he was describing exactly what he was about to do to me. He didn't want to break up, he wanted me to quote fix slash quote my body to meet his quote functional slash quote standards. I chose to leave instead. It's been 2 years, and since cutting him out, my health and PCOS symptoms have improved drastically. I realize now that the quote safety slash quote I felt was a mask, and his quote honesty slash quote was just a lack of didn't he deserve my first time, and he certainly didn't he deserve my care. Edit addressing the quote why did you stay slash why did you trust him slash quote comments. I want to clarify the timeline, because some people are suggesting I quote chose slash quote a man who told me he was cruel. He did not tell me the story about the crying girl until after we had already been intimate, and I had given him my first time. He didn't lead with his quote red flag slash quote, he led with months of being a safe, nurturing partner who let me care for him during his own sickness. He chose to tell me that story specifically in the moment he felt I wasn't quote performing slash quote well enough for him. It wasn't a quote casual conversation slash quote it was a warning. My reaction was to go physically blank with shock. I was lying in bed, vulnerable, having just reached a huge milestone with him, and he chose that moment to tell me he had made another woman cry for the same quote lack of I didn't quote ignore slash quote the red flag. I was trapped in a moment of biological quote freeze slash quote after the trust had already been established, and then immediately betrayed. It's easy to judge from the outside, but when someone waits until you are at your most vulnerable to reveal their lack of empathy, quote leaving immediately slash quote, isn't as simple as it sounds. Glad you realized what you needed. Good for you for taking the steps to leave. This man is a piece of shit. Just to offer some comfort, I never met anyone whose first time was great. I don't think I met a man who could give reliable orgasms until I was maybe 35. It gets better, and the first one is just dust in your rearview mirror. Good for you to leave him. That's just another guy who only thinks about himself and his needs during sex. It was better for you to find out earlier than later, dear. Anyways, fuck him, and first times are only that. It doesn't define anything. Take care. What a truly terrible person. I cannot even begin to fathom the depths of cruelty and malice that must reside inside somebody that make them think it's okay to say something like that to somebody, especially in a vulnerable moment like that, and especially when you claim to love that person. I'm so very sorry this happened to you. You didn't deserve that in any way, shape, or form, and I wish you happiness in your life. That's what you deserve. One time, when I was having sex with a guy reverse cowgirl, he told me in the middle of it that I should start doing glute exercises. My poor insecure ass just kept going and decided maybe he was right, and he was just helping me be a better version of myself. Turns out he just went for insecure girls who were slightly overweight so that he could use them and manipulate them, and then discard them. He did it with 3 other girls, and gave us all chlamydia. I have a feeling there were probably more, but those were the ones that I ended up having to reach out to when I got those test results. I knew that he wasn't going to. All right, you've heard the story and the comments. Who do you agree with? And hey, if you're enjoying this, hit subscribe. We post stories like this every week.